So anyway, it
Not
caught on
good.
fire.
Yeah.
Toaster caught the thing on fire,
That's what
but
they think. Yeah.
right.
I was born in Forest City, Arkansas, and my mom and dad lived there for a couple of years. And then my dad, they were looking for work, so they heard that Illinois had good jobs, so they moved up to the Aurora area, and they lived in an apartment for a while. Then they bought a house, and so from age 2, I was they raised me in Aurora.
Yeah, I was born in Canton, Illinois. My dad worked at Caterpillar in Peoria, and then he found out that again, like Sharon's parents, they found jobs here in Illinois, so they moved up here, and in 1962, so I was a couple years old, and they lived in here and raised 4 kids, and then my 2 oldest were my half sisters. I had 2 half sisters and 2 whole sisters, and I had a brother.
I was the only child, and mom had a hard time when she gave birth to me. And so, therefore, because of her having a hard time, they decided to just have only one child. So I had a dog when I was young. Always had a dog, and so that was like my company. But growing up as an only child, I was like it was lonely, and so the rainy days, nobody was outside playing, and we played outside all the time, and so that that was like about the only time. And we traveled a lot going to see their family, my cousins down in Arkansas, so I was always the Yankee cousin. They would introduce me as, "This is my Yankee cousin," so I was always like, you know, I don't know, I guess special in a way, you know.
Uh, my childhood was just like any other childhood. When you have sisters and brothers, you have a lot of fun. You have a lot of problems. You have fights. And everybody beats up everybody, and everybody protects everybody, and everybody gets blamed, and there's a lot of fun, and you really really don't appreciate it until you look back at it. And you thank God every day, because I only had what my mom and dad struggled to retain. Wasn't easy on them either, but they maintained it so I could have a good childhood and would be able to go out in life.
My parents were married for 2 years when they had me. They got married in 1960, and I was born in 1962. And they had me, and they were married my whole life. And then my dad passed, um, and but they were married for over 50 years. And then my grandparents, um, on both sides, my mom and dad, they were married for several years until the other one passed away. So it's kind of like almost a legacy, you know, that's carried down.
My dad had been married before, but ended up in divorce and got married to my mom, and they've been married over 50 years. Got married at 60. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, 56, and I'm a person that respects my elders. It's all because of Dad. I was uh, I was a young man that didn't listen. Um, my mom would tell me something and I didn't listen. When she said, "I'm going to tell Dad, wait till your dad hears," well, then that's when I tune up my hearing. But at the same time, I would take a whipping. I would take a hollering because I was stubborn, and that's just who I was. And it took a dad like mine to straighten me out.
Mom, she always made sure that I wasn't spoiled. So she's a little hard on me, you know. And but it was good. It was good. I mean, there were some trying times as growing up, but one time mom told me a story. She was doing something in the house, cleaning or something, and I had gotten out of the apartment and got on my little tricycle, and I was riding down the street on my little tricycle. And, so she came out and she was frantic, hollering my name. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? But she didn't spank me then, she hugged me instead and said, I'm glad you're okay, because I was on my tricycle down the middle of the street. And I guess my mom was more hard than my dad. Whenever he came home from work, mom didn't work. It doesn't seem like, well, not when I was little, she didn't work. And then later, I don't know, when once I got in school, it seemed like she worked in a factory and dad worked in a factory.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have spent a little bit of time by myself, until they got home.
So I got saved early in life. I was about 11 years old. Got saved in church and really never backslid. I failed God so many times, but never backslid. Going to church, you learn so much, just from being there. Sunday school, and you have so many teachers, so many examples. Everybody's there to help everybody else grow. Because nobody's perfect. But the church family, as well as my family, seemed like they all struggled to serve me. Seems that way as you look back. But and I think that's the way it is in any church or family. We work together for a common goal.
We went to church at South Aurora Church of God, and my dad, he sang in a singing group. So there were a lot of weekends that he was gone, and sometimes mom would go, sometimes not. Mom had seizures, so sometimes there was um, times when she didn't feel good and she was on medication, and so it was a lot of times just her and I that would go to church together. Sometimes, a lot of times alone, just her and I, because dad was singing in a singing group on the weekends. And they would have practice at the house, and that was a lot of fun, having them bring their guitars and stuff, and just play gospel songs. And then my friends would come over in the neighborhood because they would hear the music, out the door. And that was some good memories, good memories, good memories, good
She was going to South Aurora, and they ended up coming over to Indian Trail, where I was raised. And she was,
I became good friends with his sister
yeah,
Linda.
with my sister.
Yeah.
And she was walking down the aisle, and you know how at Indian Trail they got those things that come up to the wall. Anyway, so he was walking. I was walking one way. She was walking the other way, and we come up to that thing, and so I backed up, and
So I could go around,
yeah,
you know.
and I said, "Excuse me," and she went around. And so anyway, I had asked her to go to McDonald's because we always go to McDonald's afterwards.
After church.
Yeah. So I said, "You want to go to McDonald's?" Because my mom told me to ask her. So anyway, so she said no. She was already going with someone at the
Yeah,
time.
I was dating somebody else at the time.
So okay, I said okay. So so what happened after that? I'll let you tell the rest of it.
Oh, well, I don't really know. We were sitting in church and my boyfriend was sitting with me at church and then he just got up all of a sudden and his head was really he said his head was really pounding and he put his fist through the nursery glass. So it scared me to death. Like, what is wrong with him, you know? So the next time he asked me out,
Which was the next week.
I
I asked her
no,
again, and she said, "Yeah."
yeah. I thought he was pretty cool because he was about the same height as I was.
Yeah.
And then what did you tell Terry Franks?
I said, "I'm going to
He
get
could,
some of that."
he's going to get some of that stuff, is what he said.
That's what I said. That was her cousin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was 20 years old, and you know, I I I had a lot of girls. 20-year-olds have a lot of girls.
You didn't have no girlfriends. It was just
That's what
friends.
she always tells me. But anyway, I was 20 years old, 2 years out of high school. You know, I was shy. Things like that. But I had my share.
He was cute.
So then we went to McDonald's, and then since we started liking each other, I didn't even know that she would come to the house and stay the night with Linda, my sister. I had no idea.
Well, yeah, because you work third shift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no idea. So anyway, after we started liking each other, her mom wouldn't let her come over and spend the night no more.
Yeah.
That won't happen anymore. So we went together for 2 years, and then we decided to go ahead and get married. You know, and
But when did we start dating? What was our anniversary date? Because he always remembers this.
well, I mean, we were sitting
12
at
12
78.
78.
We were sitting at
Mr. Steak.
Mr. Steak on 31 there,
Yeah.
and I had a necklace, and it said "Property of JT," hands off.
That's what we used to call him, JT, John Todd,
So
JT.
I asked her if she would go with me, and she said yeah. So then I gave her the necklace, and it was 12/12 and 78.
Yeah.
I graduated in 78, so it was just a few months after I had graduated. She was still going to school. She graduated in 80.
Hmm.
So we was going together, and she didn't graduate until August or June,
June of 1980, yeah.
and then July is when we got married. And she was still yet 17, so the parents had to sign for her.
Yeah.
And then she turned 18 in August,
Yeah.
a couple of months later. And we've been together for 43 years.
Yeah. So from 78 to 80, when we had started dating, we just kind of, I don't know, knew that the other one was the one that
Yeah.
we wanted to spend our life with, um, and so we went to counseling with our pastor who was going to marry us, and he's like, what are your plans after you get married? Where are you going to live? What are you going to do? And we're like, well, we're going to live with her mom and dad for a while, until we can save to get our own place. And he says, well, let me give you some advice. Don't stay there long, because you can't have two families in one household. Just things just don't work like that. You've got your own family now, and the Bible says you leave your mother and father and you have your own family. And so we slept in my twin bed for a little while, which was okay. But then after a while we got our own apartment,
Yeah.
moved out to Batavia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, we've had ups and downs. I mean, uh, next, I think we went to the trailer. We bought
Yeah.
a trailer for $2,000,
It
and
was
I
a
was gonna fix it
1962
up.
trailer.
I was gonna fix it up, but it was junk. It was when Sharon's mother came into it to see if the first time she cried. She cried and
And she said, I can't believe you're
yeah, bringing
putting
my
my
daughter.
daughter in this place.
Above the cabinet, it had bar lights, which would be just a globe
Little globe
that you
light.
screw onto for the lights, three of them, and they would leak. So when it rained, the globes got full of water. Not good.
No.
So
No.
anyway,
And we'd have to put pans on the floor because it would be
yeah,
leaking where you would see the seam, in the ceiling, and it would
yeah.
leak. So it was
So anyway, it
not
caught on
good.
fire.
Yeah.
Toaster caught the thing on fire.
That's
But
what they think. Yeah.
right, but the beautiful thing about it is, and it was beautiful. It's God. God's always everywhere all
Every
the time.
situation.
We had really just went to Virginia, and we found a dog in Virginia. And I won't tell the other parts of the story, but anyway, we brought the dog
It
back.
was a Chihuahua.
It was a Chihuahua,
Yeah.
and we had to keep the dog in a room by itself, still potty training and stuff like
This
that.
was when we lived in the trailer.
So we had to get a washer and dryer stackable that would go into a trailer. Well, the front door wouldn't open, or the front door was the only one that would open. The back door wouldn't open. So we had to break it open, unseal it, which was a pain, but we didn't know what the blessing was.
And that door was in our bedroom.
Yeah. So then, after we put it all in there, the trailer caught on fire.
Like a week after that.
Yeah. And we heard glass breaking. And what in the world
Who,
was that?
we? Or
She
me?
did. And I said something, then I said, I got up after I heard the glass breaking, went in there, and there's smoke everywhere. And I had to open the door. My dog was in there. Had to open the door, and smoke everywhere. If the dog wasn't there, we wouldn't be here today. And we opened that door that we had just unsealed in order to be able to get out. And it was just a miracle.
And he didn't have any shoes. He walked out of there with no shoes on.
If the dog wasn't there, it would have been a wide open hallway.
For
and the
smoke.
smoke would have just come on in. Can I tell it right? Can I?
I don't know what you're going to say.
I'm out on the front porch at the house, and she walks up. Okay.
You're on your front porch?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you walk up, and you said, "So where's my ring?" Which, honestly, to me, came out of nowhere.
No, I thought we had talked about getting married, though.
We may have.
Yeah.
We may have. But she said, "Where's my ring?" And I said, "I think probably it would be best if we just kind of take a break for a little bit." And now, do you remember?
Yeah.
And so she starts crying. I've never been able to watch her cry. I've never been able to. So, so we set a date and we got things planned and it got done.
Yeah, we had I had a maid of honor, and then I had a bridesmaid. Yeah. So I had one bridesmaid, and then he had a best man, and then a groomsman.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a big wedding party. Um, we had the ladies in the church. They made sandwiches and chips like for the reception. It wasn't a big wedding, but there was quite a few people that were there,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of just a
Yeah.
almost like family get together,
I
you
mean,
know.
honestly, there was no thought of we want a wedding like they got.
Right.
You know, ours was special to us,
Yeah.
tailor made to us. In all truth, okay, we were standing at the altar and we were getting married, and I sensed the presence of the Lord on the top left hand side of the
Church.
church, kind of as though it was a light or whatever. It said, um, "I'm covenanting with you.
Mhm.
This is what this is right. This is
It just
what I
felt
want for
right.
you."
Yeah.
And so um, God blessed us, put us together, and made us one person.
And we both waited until the honeymoon night, you know, and to make our covenant promise with each other, on our honeymoon night. And I don't think a lot of people do that anymore, and it makes it special
Mm-hmm.
when you're the first one,
Yeah,
that I've been with. You're the first. And I was the first.
yeah,
And so that we felt that's really important for us to wait
yeah.
until we got married. And people don't think, they just are wanting that self to be um, fulfilled in what they want, that they go ahead. There's no, what's the word I want to use?
It's not solemn. It's not sacred
Yeah.
to anybody. And so we viewed it as being sacred and something that you didn't uh, just run into, you know. Um, we viewed it as a precious gift that God
Mm-hmm.
gives to the people that He wants to be together.
Yeah.
And I think as part of love, I've been accused, and I am guilty of not saying I love you enough. Um, but I tell her when I pull up in the driveway every time at 4 o'clock at the same time, that's saying I love you. Okay, I'm not coming home after I get done with everything else and finally coming home to lay in bed. No, I'm coming home because I'm done with everything, and now I'm coming home to the important things. And of course, that's logic. The ladies don't agree with that. You know, they want roses and they want candles and they want candy.
Well, and we want to be told that
Yeah,
I love you.
yeah,
The words mean a lot.
yeah,
Silence, you can only guess. If you're going to be silent, you know, all you have to do is just guess.
yeah.
What is he thinking? Am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right words? And but we have found that communication is huge
It
in a
is.
marriage. When we were first married in our first year, he had a seizure at the trailer, and I guess for me that was, what are we going to do? And so it was a new thing. So I think that, when there's a medical condition, it takes extra special effort. I don't even know if that's good or good how to say that, but it takes extra special attention. Um, but I still loved him, and I still wanted to do for him what I needed to do, we made those wedding vows in sickness and in health,
Hmm.
and the good, bad, and the ugly. You're there for the long haul. Um, and so that was one thing that was really hard, I think, in our marriage was the epilepsy. And he wasn't always real good at taking his medicine. So I would have to remind him, and he would just get furious. And so that was,
Yeah, yeah, that's always been hard. Dad used to put up notes in my room. Take
mhm,
your pills, take your pills, take your pills. you know, but it's something that you realize that you have to do.
mhm. And I
You
knew
know,
he had had that. My mom, she had seizures too, so I know what that's like, growing up. But everybody is different, and when you experience that for the first time, it could scare you to death.
hmm
Because you don't, how mom might have one is different than how he has one, and that was the first time I had seen that, and it was very scary. And but I didn't love him any less because of it, you know. I wanted children. I wanted to have a child, and it just seems like that there's when you're together, it just seems like there's something that just to make, I don't know, to make a family, and to have children is a blessing from the Lord, and to just have a child is just something that a woman always, would want to have, in a marriage. And it didn't seem like it was a big deal to him, but it was to me, you know.
I just decided, honestly, if the Lord desires us to have a family, it'll happen.
Hmm.
You know, I can't, I can't make it happen.
Yeah.
Lord, it's this thing is up to you.
We had talked about waiting 2 years, and then we tried. And because I was on birth control, and so I got off of the birth control after we'd been married for 2 years, and we tried, and we tried, and so then 6 years, and
Yeah,
86, Heather, I got pregnant, and 85 actually, I got pregnant. Heather was born
yeah.
in April of 86. Melissa was born in 88, so they're about 2 years apart. I would be the one he would, we would be walking into church, and I would be the one with the baby carrier and the diaper bag, and he would have nothing. And I guess, and you're just so busy with things, you don't think of, you know, because you don't want to be upset, you don't want to be mad, and so you just don't say anything, and you just kind of carry that load, and but all at the same time in your mind you're thinking, I really need help here. He really needs to help me. Don't he see I need help? But it was like not that I didn't exist, but I just didn't feel like that there was that care towards me. I've got this baby now. We had the baby together. You should help, you know. And I think that it was a little bit of it was a struggle, you know, for some time.
Well, I mean, I was oblivious to my responsibility. Honestly, when I look back, I didn't even know she was carrying all this, doing all this. Um, my responsibilities um, were the same as before, and help out where I could. But um,
I don't know. I think that in that time, men were like I go to work, I put food on the table, and that's what his responsibilities are. You know, you're the woman, you stay at home, you know, take
Um,
care of the kids and
well, the truth, I was very much involved in church.
mhm,
The same church I grew up in, and I had responsibilities, and I did I did too much responsibility at the church when I should have recognized priorities, and I misplaced the priorities. I put church the place where the family was,
mhm,
and to me that was as it should be. And the reason I reasoned that out was because she's my sister in the Lord. So, being sister in the Lord, she's part of the church. So, if I take care of the church, I'm still taking care of my
yeah,
family.
yeah,
And so that was how I thought. And so I didn't see her struggle.
mm-mm.
I really didn't.
The communication wasn't there like it should have been. I mean, we knew we were in agreement totally how we wanted to raise our kids, and both of us agreed. But when it came to and we agreed on the discipline and um, together on that, we agreed together on how to do that. But I think that um, the focus was more on the kids, not so much on our relationship. And I think that things went a lot of times unsaid, and the the struggle that I might have been having, or the struggle he was having, and we just seemed to have carried a lot and not saying anything.
Yeah.
Both of us hurting inside, but as as you're raising kids, you have to keep going, you know. And I think that as they were growing up, there was kind of a, I don't want to say that we weren't separated, but there was so much miscommunication because we didn't know really how to talk to each other. Even though we didn't have any children for 6 years, we really didn't know how to express how I felt, because I didn't want him to get mad, or I didn't want to stir anything up, so I would just not say anything for a lot of years. And you just keep going on your daily life. I loved him and he loved me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we had. But and just doing what you're just in a, like your routine. You
Mm-hmm.
just keep going, and it just didn't seem like a lot of things were special.
Well, I mean, the kids grew, time passes on, and then Sharon, she begins to sing with their
Yeah.
dad
Hmm.
and things like that. So, and
But that was before we had kids.
right,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying, time come along, and you begin to do that, and so that was fine. She's with her dad, she's with her family, she's enjoying that, and I had different ideas, you know, so that kind of separated us a little bit.
Hmm.
But you can't get a divorce over every problem that you have, so
But
you deal with it. I've only ever said the word divorce in 43 years one time,
yeah.
you know, and but other than that, you don't even think about it. You just go on, because that's life. You
Hmm.
know, you don't even think about leaving. But the kids grow, and with every year, you got different issues and different problems. You know, you get your reaction from your wife to the situation, and then your own reaction to the situation, and somehow it has to mix. Sometimes it has to. It always has to make sense. And I've made mistakes with the girls, with both of them, and Sharon has too. And we we just honestly depend on the Lord um, to deal with that because He promises in the Word, uh, raise your kids in the fear and admonition of the Lord, and when they get old, they won't depart from it. So that's what we depend on, and we believe that God is still continuing to deal with them as we taught them and as our parents taught us. And so, days come, days go. But the fact that you're in love always means that you'll be there for the other one. You'll never turn around and not see the other one there. Uh, we was, it kind of goes into what we were talking about. It was um, her and the kids. Um, you always have to wait on them, you know. And I was oblivious to this, okay? I wish I would have paid more attention and realized that I carried 50% of the responsibility. But I'd always have to wait on them. And I was big in the church. I was important. I did a lot of stuff in the church. Anyway, he was always late. And I had to wait on him, and we was always late. So there was one day, um, I said, she was in the bathroom. And I said, let's go, we need to go. We're going to be late. And this was her response to me pretty much all the time. You go ahead and go, and me and the kids we'll come when we're ready. And that wasn't derogatory, but you go ahead and go so you're not late, and then we'll show up in
because
just a few minutes.
I knew he had responsibilities at church, and
Yeah.
if you got to go, we're not ready
To
yet.
take
Just
care
go
of
ahead
it.
and go.
Yeah, so she says, you go ahead and go, and we'll be there shortly. Well, she had told me that previous times. But what was in my heart and head was I wanted us to go to the church as a family. And it came into my mind that she didn't understand that.
But it was never spoken.
Right. It never spoken.
It was never spoken.
It was just right there at that instant.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she said that, I put my fist through the wall because she wasn't getting what I was trying to say.
But you wasn't saying nothing.
I wasn't. I wasn't. I just put my fist through the wall. And then I think I might have left and went to the church or stood there or whatever, but they scared the girls to death.
Yeah.
You know.
Scared all of us.
And I think I might have said the word divorce there. I think that was when it was. But it was only one time. And she had responsibility. I guess that she held the responsibility for family as much as I held the responsibility of the church, and we should have just met halfway both sides.
I would cry. I would cry. I wouldn't punch a wall or hit anything, but I would just cry. And it was just um, sad, I guess. I guess I was just sad. Um, and you just keep going because you've got two kids that you've got to take care of. You just don't have time. You don't really have time for your emotions because you're dealing with the kids' emotions. So that kind of so you get put on the back burner for years, not just days or months. It's years. So you yourself, you're not really taking care of yourself. You're taking care of the kids. And you're taking care of so he won't have a seizure. And you carry that for years. And then, the kids grow up and then you're just together and they move out. And and then, you are trying to find yourself as as a wife, as a person, and you're trying to be able to find out who you are. And and then I got breast cancer, and
Yeah.
I always said, Lord, what's going to happen if something happened to me? What would happen? And and he just didn't seem to be there a lot at that time because
Yeah.
he had had so many seizures and he just seemed to be so angry because they had changed his medicine and he couldn't drive for like 6 months. And then one year, it was like almost a whole year he couldn't drive. And it seemed like he was so angry at, I don't know, life, I guess, because life throws you hard things sometimes. And so the kids are out of the house. And so I'm trying to find myself, and we're going through this with him. And so I left him for 6 weeks. And I don't know if, we were having struggles. I found like that I could just do things on my own and have some kind of enjoyment outside of the house and, go out with a friend and do things. And it was kind of like I kind of felt free in that. And he would be home, and if I came home at a certain time, which a lot of times I did come home late, you know um and but I felt free and I felt happy, you know and then I had got the breast cancer, and then I had left him still going through those struggles. And I guess the response from him for my cancer, I just didn't feel like he took care of me, I guess, like I wanted him to. And so that's when I left. I thought about the word divorce, but I didn't want to get a divorce because I loved him.
Well, she said that she's not coming home until I get counseling. That's what she told me. But my view, and and I want to say it might have been thought of as a prideful view, but I truly think it's the truth. Um, See, I'd been a Christian for a great number of years, and I taught. I knew the Bible, and so the thought that would run into my mind is I don't need counseling. I actually give counseling. So it was a situation where I was kind of turned on my head. And okay, we went to counseling actually with two people. One was a young lady that had a degree in counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another
Mo,
person
Brother
that we
Mo.
went
Yeah.
and we had counseling with him. And after a while, we walked out one time, and And it just seemed like the Lord said to me, He said, don't lean on the arm of flesh. I want you to lean on me. So we stopped counseling there. And I just told Sharon, we're done listening to man. We're going to start listening to the Lord. And so she came home, and that was really where it's at. And there was really no apologies coming to the point where we said, I'm sorry for this, acknowledgement of this or that. It was just coming back together again and going forward where we were, which it was fine, you know, because you go through the hard times and you get through them. You don't always have to start at the beginning to keep going forward.
Yeah. So, God has a plan when we're His children. There's a plan. And we went to church every Sunday. In fact, we left the one church that he was raised in.
Yeah. That really turned me over. Um, it just flipped up my life. It really did. Um, I left the church, and you own.
Well, you didn't just leave the church. All of us,
Right.
the four of us. And I think that a lot of times the problem was he felt like it was him that left the church. Didn't consider
Okay.
the other three people in his family. They left the church too. It hurt us just as much as it did him.
Well, the reason for that was I knew why I left, but I didn't want it to concern or trouble her. Um, I left because the new pastor didn't think there was anything wrong with drinking. And in the Church of God, it's always wrong. So why would this new guy come in? Anyway, so I left. And when I say I left, that's why I left. And then she left. We left together. But I didn't want to take the whole church with me. That's really what it was. I didn't want to tell mom and dad. I didn't want to tell her mom and dad. I I don't agree with this. I'm leaving. And so I didn't share it with anybody. There was one other person that left with us other than our family. And so it was difficult. But I couldn't really reconcile um, how to do it. And she wanted to talk about it all the time. And I couldn't really say, okay, here's why, and have her understand. She always wanted to, I guess, fix it. And I didn't want to be fixed. So I was quiet. I was just quiet, and that was a lot of our problem.
He was quiet, but it seemed like he was mad.
Yeah. I mean,
Like this.
I mean,
So your family, us three girls,
yeah.
were like walking on eggshells because you don't want to stir up anything, So you're just quiet.
I
And
mean,
it
I,
was like it felt like there was so much tension in the house
yeah.
because everybody just seemed like they was just quiet because of what we were going through. Nobody talked about it.
But then see, um, there was a period of time when I didn't go to church at all. Then there was a time when she didn't go to church at all. There was a time when I'd go to one church, she'd go to another church.
It hurt us just as much as it did him.
Right.
So he spent a lot of days, weeks, months,
Yeah.
silence.
And
Silence.
we went through that. And so we come to the point where we just decided, you know what? Um, I remember God's got a work for us to do, and I'm going to be here when He calls me. So after all the Sims classes that we had to take for ministry, um, I had to preach 12 messages and this and that to go to ministry.
But it wasn't just you that
I
went to
know,
Sims classes.
I know. It was us. We had, yeah.
Yeah.
So we was getting stronger. We was getting better,
Mm-hmm.
and she was having a harder time because
I did.
her pastor, her leader, was a hard case, and he would chew her out all the time. And I would tell her, "You're learning things here that you're supposed to do and not supposed to do.
Yeah.
So you're learning positive and negative." So
Mhm.
we was growing.
Learning what not to do is what you said.
Yeah.
We're learning what not to do
And
because
what to do.
it
Yeah.
was something else.
So you're learning both sides.
And at this time, we were going to the same church.
Yeah. And so, we're growing. And so, anyway, the short version is I was waiting. I told her, the Lord's got something for us to do, and I'm going to be here when He tells me. So then I get a phone call. It was actually, I had preached here twice. And I might have preached other places, but I had to preach 12 messages in a year. And because of the troubles in our marriage at the time, was prohibiting us from going forward. So we had to extend it a year.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the process of preaching 12 messages, I just grown tired of waiting, tired of this, tired of that. So I found out that the pastor here was trying to get a hold of me. I assumed it wanted me to preach again. So at least I said, okay, I at least owe him a phone call, return call. So I called him, and he said, I wonder if you'd do me a favor. Would you consider pastoring Plano Church of God? Mm-hmm. Which was, are you serious?
We were both like,
we were so
are you kidding
down
me?
In the dumps. I had prayed, where are you, God? Where are you? And we've done this for some time now. And so I knew I couldn't tell him no, because I told God, I'll be here. So I have to say yes. I don't even know if he has the authority to tell me that, ask me that, or give me the opportunity. I don't know. All I know is I got to say yes. So that night, we went to his house. We prayed. The next morning, we met the overseer here. We prayed. And the next day, Sunday, I was the pastor here of this church, intern pastor.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. When she came in from work that day, or Friday, I said, how would you like to go pastor Plano Church of God? And she just lit up.
I was like, really?
Everything.
This is our, God is moving, through all of the struggles, through all the differences, God moved. And that's just what we needed. It was just what we needed.
Yeah. So, 12 years later,
yeah,
here we are. Yeah. Pastor in Plano Church of God.
Yeah. Our marriage is stronger now than it ever was. I would say that it ever was. I feel like that we know each other. It's taken a lot of years, but I feel like that we know each other more than we ever have. And we're comfortable with each other, and I feel like I can say what's on my mind and not gonna get any remorse back, so I can let him know how I feel. And that's important, is to let me know how I feel, and you not think that, oh, she's just a woman, is it that time of the month, or are you having some emotional break, but listening. And I feel like that he listens, and I don't know if he understands or not, or if he plays it off like he does, but he does a good job. And but I think we get along better than we ever have.
I'm used to her going to sleep in the middle of a movie. She's used to me working in good clothes, and we're used to each other's
Yeah.
problems, you know.
And we talk about things.
We do. We talk about things, and
we kind of know each other. Like, you know, if I'm upset or if I'm quiet, sometimes he'll say, you know, are you okay? What's the matter? And sometimes I'll say, do you really want to hear?
yeah.
Do you really want to know? Are you ready for this? And so I'll let him have it.
Yeah. And, you know, about the pills, you know, I'm used to that now. You know, she only doing this because she cares.
And before he would get angry.
So it's on my phone now that I'm supposed to take my pills. So my phone tells me to take my pills. So it works out.
Yeah. If I could go back, I would, in homeschooling with the kids, I would be more patient and not. Heather was real stubborn when it came to doing her paces. It's like, you know, you need to do these. And, you know, and I would get so frustrated and I would yell at her. And you know, well, why? You know, and kids, both of them were not the same, you know. Um, and I guess I would just try to maybe explain better. I never felt like I didn't feel very confident. And I think that if I put aside the emotion, that maybe I would have the confidence to be able to say, well, you know, or sit down and let's see why, you know, why are you having the struggle? Why don't you want to do this today? You know, and I think I would need to have more patience with them, take more time with them.
Honestly, if I had to do over again, I would spend more personal time with each one of them. A long time, just make memories. Because the years go by so fast, you know, and before long they're doing something else with
Yeah.
other people. But you know, you gotta have fun. Gotta have fun with your kids, and I wished I had more fun with my kids.
I would say to somebody that's getting married to understand that it's forever, always, um, and that you need to lean on each other and communicate with each other. Um, but understand when you make those vows, it's forever, till death do you part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say to anyone thinking about getting married, always be honest,
Mm-hmm.
um, truthful, and just let your spouse, husband or wife, know exactly um, your heart,
Yeah.
what makes you happy or what makes you sad.
Mm-hmm.
God already knows all that, but your spouse doesn't.
Right.
And so expose yourself, be vulnerable
Yeah.
to them. And And I believe that will alleviate a lot of problems. Because if we honestly love one another, once we find out, we will meet each other's needs. As you go into adulthood and you take on the responsibilities of life, include God in everything. Introduce him to your friends, your children, and he's everything. Uh, he's your source. He's going to be their source, and you've got to you've got to show the Lord to them in a way that they can recognize and appreciate. He's not the man in the sky. He's not the big scary one. He's the one that understands.
But when you say show the Lord to them, you need to live like Jesus to them.
Yeah.
And not just constantly, say this is what the Bible says, this is what you should do. And then, keep being how you're being, whether it's short-tempered, impatient. Jesus was always patient with us. He always would wait for us.
Yes.
But we need to show them Jesus and each other.
Show them Jesus. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and be a part of this that they're trying to do. Brother Daniel and Sister Marisol are doing a wonderful job. This is a good work. Marriage is honorable. Scripture declares. And it is honorable, but at the same time, it's a little hard, a little difficult, but we need Jesus the whole way through. And tell all your friends about this video and get them to like it as well. Watch it, like it, and let's help these folks. Amen.
And if you have any comments, just leave those in the comment section.
There you go.
Thank you. I didn't even think about that. But
thank you.